All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Tyranny of Dragons. Yes, this is the first officially published campaign by Wizards of the Coast. We are currently playing through the Horde of the Dragon Queen adventure path. The people below me are the people who weren't smart enough to say no when I said, hey, why don't you let me control the fate of your characters? And to kind of bring you up to speed, because it has been, I've unfortunately had some health issues, so it has been a little while since we've seen this team. To kind of bring you up to speed, they've been tracking this Cult of the Dragon that's been taking all of this loot somewhere, they don't know where. They tracked him to a roadhouse, no Patrick Swayze, very upsetting. And then found this secret entrance and found some lizard men that they have been following to try and figure out where the end destination of this gold is. So, yeah, they most recently they wandered off the path a little bit and came to a completely decimated area and saw a giant black winged creature flying overhead and saw these giant pools of acid everywhere. Decided maybe that wasn't the greatest place to go, and turned back around and then eventually headed to a place where they could kind of set up camp and stuff like that. They were met by some lizard men, who I think the majority didn't make it to the shore, if I remember correctly.
There's one prisoner.
Oh, and you guys took a prisoner. Okay, so you have a prisoner. But so that's where they are. You guys know you're heading towards a place called Castle Neartar, which I think Enna was the one that actually had the. It was either Enna or Valdis that had the knowledge check that knows that Castle Neartar was it's an ancient keep that was built long before the Mare of Dead Men was as big as it is now. That used to house there used to be a noble family that lived there. They abandoned it. There were some astrologers and wizards that took residence up in it like 100 years ago. But since then, it's just been this abandoned castle on the edge of, or technically in the Mare of Dead Men. So you guys have been heading towards it and have gotten to a point where walking is no longer possible. The swamp has become deep enough that it will require boats or things like that, which luckily enough, there just happens to be canoes. Almost like where you are has been used before to get to Castle Neartar. It's weird.
How convenient.
If I assume we haven't completed our night's rest, though, because we got interrupted by the lizard men.
Watch, which I think was first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have not completed your night's rest. Give me a second here to get to the right page, because there's just a shit ton of stuff here.
Am I the only one that speaks Draconic in this group?
Yes.
So I have a -2 on Charisma, and I got to interrogate this guy?
Yes.
Sounds good.
I mean, I can sharpen my dagger menacingly to help you.
I was going to say I could turn into a bear or something, but I don't think I have any wild shapes left. I could just sit in front of him with my shillelagh looking menacing.
I'll just be translator. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's...
All right, so now that I actually pretend I know what I'm doing. So yeah, you did render one unconscious. Um, are you going to tie them up? What are you going to do with this unconscious person or unconscious lizard person?
I'll tie them up.
Okay, you do it with no difficulty. Um, it will take probably like 20 minutes for them to regain consciousness.
Right.
So you guys have like 20 minutes to kind of plan what it is you want to do. From what you can see, they were, it was a relative, it was 9 lizard men. It's a relatively big group. You get the idea that you probably are not going to have another group looking for them anytime soon. So you're probably safe for a little while.
Okay, so what do we walk around with find out from them, like where they came from, or
I mean, we could just be blunt and ask for directions to Castle Niratar.
yeah,
Again, I'm going to translate. This is why I don't do the questions.
Right. Ask him what the best seasoning for lizard meat is.
So as he wakes up, you see him. And he seems like he tries to kind of bite his things off and doesn't work because you've tied him up well enough that he can't do that.
So I think to avoid, me repeating everything everyone's about to say, we'll just assume I'm translating what they're saying.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So speaking through an intermediary is going to provide disadvantage to like persuasion or intimidation checks, simply because part of a persuasion or an intimidation is nonverbal communication, and going through an intermediary, they're going to change the nonverbal communication simply because they are a different person who communicates differently. So, just so you are all aware.
Perfectly okay with that because charisma's not my strong suit.
So, what do you guys want to ask him?
and who's that? Is, um, did you come from Castle? What was it?
Niratar.
Vietnam?
So, as Valdis begins to translate to Draconic, the creature says, "Yes!" before Valdis can continue translating.
Oh, okay. Was that in common?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a step back. All right, my job's done.
um, I say you will tell us how to get to Vietnam.
And he kind of looks at you, and you're feminine. I don't know if you still look fabulous from Waterdeep, but
I really want to go.
your hair is all messy.
Yeah.
The humidity has made it frizz out. But the lizardman kind of looks at you and just kind of scoffs. He goes,
I said I am take my spell out and do my wizard life. and my way to him.
Okay. So you guys watch as Lillian draws one of her long swords, and just as she's sitting there, kind of looking at it, looking at the blade, judging it, the lizardman himself is just kind of sitting back and kind of scoffing at this obvious attempt at intimidation. And then Lillian takes her thumb and runs it along the edge of the blade and draws blood, and the lizardman starts getting a little more panicked. And then as she does that, she focuses on the blade itself, and the blood starts to run parallel to gravity along the edge of the blade, and the lizardman gets a little bit more shifty. And then the blood itself ignites into this bright flame that engulfs the blade entirely. And Lillian now just brings it closer and closer to the lizardman. You can see his face is starting to light up just from the light of the fire. As it gets closer and closer to his face, he's leaning back a little bit. Lillian, go ahead and make me an intimidation check with advantage, because that was interesting. So advantage was useful because you got a nat 1 at first. Yeah, so you get down there and you just start kind of pressing it, and you hear fire woman doesn't have to hurt me. No, fire woman's very nice. Snapjaw's very nice. He likes the fire lady. Fire lady doesn't have to burn Snapjaw. It's very nice.
That'd be nice if you did something else for the castle.
You see him kind of look around, and you hear this weird sound that you can't really tell what it is. And after listening to it for a second, you realize he's laughing. You've never heard a lizardman laugh before. He goes, Snapjaw, do you know who Snapjaw serves? Me? You get into the castle. You, fire lady, they're dragon kneelers. They kneel for dragons. They have vast powers. You want me to get you into the castle? Yeah. You're crazy, fire lady. Crazy. Snapjaw's not going there.
I think you should have the power that I have.
And you see this kind of look of, like you can tell the wheels are turning. And Snapjaw is silent for a little bit, and then finally he looks at you and goes, Snapjaw has lived in the mirror of dead men many years. Snapjaw is proud lizardman. Lizardmen very proud. They run mirror of dead men. Then dragoneers, they come and they take over big castle. They make the lizardmen move heavy metal, shinies, over again. They bring in bullywugs. The bullywugs rule over lizardmen. It's not right. Lizardmen are strong. Lizardmen are powerful, proud. We do not bow to the bullywugs.
So the are trainers. Maybe it's time that the lizardmen do something about that.
Yes. That is what Snapjaw's saying. Maybe if you Maybe if you and your powerful friends, maybe if they were to help Snapjaw, help the Lizardmen, get rid of the Bullywugs, get rid of the Dragon Kneelers, perhaps you could take them out. The Lizardmen would be very, very happy. We would rule ourselves again. No longer have to take the shinies for the Dragon Kneelers. We rule the Mayor of Dead Men. Except for over there. That's bad. Points in the rough direction where you guys have just come from.
Would I know anything about that history?
The history of what?
Like a Elizabeth being enslaved or whatever?
I'll have you make, you can choose history or nature. Because it's kind of sociological. That's good enough. Lizardmen they're humanoid. They don't tend to be incredibly intelligent. They are very tribal. Their society is tribal based. And the more advanced civilizations have had limited positive dealings with Lizardmen. But they have, specifically in Neverwinter, there have been deals made, like mutual non-aggression pacts, things like that, where we won't bother you if you won't bother us, type things with them. But in general, Lizardmen tend to be fairly self-sufficient. They don't tend to be much negotiators, and they don't play well with others. So the idea of them working together with anyone is weird. That's not something that you've ever seen with any of the other civilized races. So yeah, some sort of slavery type thing would have to be happening, or they would have to be getting some kind of a really good deal out of it for them to not only play nice with one group of people, the cultists, but they also mention bullywugs, which you guys may or may not know. You can all roll history checks or nature checks to see if you know what a bullywug is.
To quote Liam, like a million.
Okay.
It's a natural 20, so it's 30.
I have a 400 to my history score. I've read every book.
And nature and history are about the same for me, so.
Natural 20 for me.
Yeah, so
9.
between the rest of you guys know that bullywugs are frog people, basically. They are similar to lizardmen in the idea that they tend to be tribal. They are much more organized, and with a 30, you would know religion plays a very, very large part in their culture. Their priests are kind of the ones that tend to be the rulers and of the ruling class, whereas lizard men are much more along the shamanistic side of worship. Give me just 2 seconds. So, you know that bullywugs and lizardmen generally tend to inhabit similar biomes. They don't get along.
Would I know if which one, like, society would view as the nicer of the two races?
They are both considered beast races. So society as a whole would kind of lump them into the same category,
Okay.
along with things like gnolls, all those kind of humanized beast creatures. In general, modern society tends to lump them all into the same category, which isn't 100% accurate, but it's just kind of how society works. They'll just put everyone into categories that make sense to them. With your 30, you would know that technology-wise and society-wise, bullywugs might be like slightly higher sociologically or further along in their sociological development than lizardmen. But yeah, they're both part creature. They're creature humanoid type things. And bullywugs, to my knowledge, bullywugs have never had a favorable encounter with humans. Just in general, they tend to have an antagonistic. Like there are no treaties or anything that any human civilizations have signed with the bullywugs, whereas there have been some verbal agreements centuries ago with some people that lived near in a settlement near Neverwinter that kind of was a mutual non-aggression pact, verbal agreement between lizardmen and humans. So, but in general, they're bad guys. They almost always they attack first. They're a bit xenophobic. They're very territorial.
Right.
So the idea of them using you guys for the idea of this guy using you guys to get freedom for his people does not sound outlandish. Or the idea that working with bullywugs and humans and things like that might be something that he doesn't like. Again, doesn't sound out of character
Right.
for the race.
Yeah.
I say, I see we can help you and you people. But it's a try and quit me to my sword again. But if you be prayer, then it will wait for you.
Oh no, Snapjaw, no betray. You helped Snapjaw, save Snapjaw people, but you must not kill any more lizardmen. Snapjaw help. Snapjaw tell lizardmen not to fight you, but you must not kill more lizardmen.
If you can hold out that part of the borders, we can agree to that.
Yes. And he's sitting there and he's trying to reach his arm out, and he realizes he's still bound, and so he kind of looks down. And he looks at you with your flaming sword, looks to someone else to possibly untie him.
Since I made the nod,
The
I'll
chick
go
that
inside.
cuts herself and then puts her sword on fire, he's not real comfortable with.
Yeah, I'll go and tie him.
Okay, so he gets up. He goes, "My name, Snapjaw. Castle Nirtar, this way." And he points along the river. Is about day's journey from here. But we have canoes. Work very well. We have, and he looks around. There is no shinies. You have no shinies?
We have no shinies.
You have no shinies.
Make it
Um,
easier.
What?
Not have to worry about putting shinies in the canoes. And now I have to actually look. Da, da, da. No, we're not going to deal with that.
If this is going to be another day, I think it would make sense for us to get some
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah, sleep.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I am exhausted.
Give me just one more second to find out. Okay. Sorry, I have run this before, but it's been a very long time, and so I have to make sure I'm not forgetting things. Okay, cool. All right, so Snapchat lets you guys know that nobody's going to be coming looking for this party for a little while because they were expecting what he calls shinies to be here, and it takes time for the shinies to be loaded up. And normally, because it's a day's journey, they normally get here, they sleep, and then continue on foot back to the cave that you guys came from, which is another about day's journey to get the shinies, and then come back. And so no one will be expecting them back for probably another day, at least, maybe 2 or 3.
Plenty of time to sleep.
I'll say in Halfling first and then Elvish second that I think it goes without saying we're going to establish a watch so we can keep an eye on this guy. Just
Makes
hoping that, our Snapjaw doesn't know what I'm doing.
He looks at you, kind of cocks his head to the side.
And then I'll say in Draconic, we're just going to go to sleep. Just some of these people have trouble communicating in common.
Ah, yes, that's coming very hard. Very, very hard language.
Well, I think I can get along well with this guy. So I'll stay up on the first watch since I'm not missing barely anything.
Are there any other questions you guys want to ask him before you go to sleep? Because you don't, it's late. It's not late enough that you have to 100% go to sleep right now. So if you want, you can ask more questions of him other than, hey, can you get us to the castle?
What was that huge black dragon that we saw?
He has a name. You had to ask about the one with Oh, and it's a dragon name. All right, I'm going to try and say this. Voarag Hamanthar. Voarag Hamanthar.
We'll just call him Vorig.
Call him
Gesundheit.
V.
Well,
he goes, yes, bad dragon. Very, very bad dragon. Big. You have acid, destroy whole area. My people, that was our area long, long ago. He took our area. We gave it to him. We don't want to face V.
I'm going to ask him and describe the woman that we saw way back at that camp south of Greenest, if he knows her.
Um,
I don't know if we ever got her name, just a descriptor.
he goes, Dragon Kneeler. She's Dragon Kneeler.
that her given name?
She is one of the dragon kneelers. She
What do the
wears
other
purple.
dragon kneelers call her?
They never let the lizard men into the castle. We work on the outside of the castle. We move the shinies. The bullywugs, they let them into the castle. The bullywugs. They think they're so great because they have their land is on the castle, and they go into the castle when they want. Well, lizard men, we only go in the castle to put the shinies in the castle. And then the bullywugs, they go, we're the bullywugs. You gotta listen to us. And then lizard men are like, we are proud lizard men. The bullywugs like, where's your shaman? And then lizard men go, fuck.
We will make these pollywogs pay.
I have just made Snapchat my favorite character in the campaign.
Maybe I'll find him a gig as a security guard at my house.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That would be perfect. Philip!
Can I
Why is
insight
there
check
a
him
lizard
just
man
to see if
here?
he's telling the truth?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, not anything with a 1, so no.
Yeah, he's a lizardman. It's one of those things where you can't really, even with the fact that being a cleric, you kind of have an affinity for getting the truth out of people. You have nothing to base your idea of what his tell would be on, so you got no idea.
Nope.
He could be making this shit up for all you know. However, he did seem pretty angry when he talked about the bullywugs. Especially when he said, where's your shaman? And I was like, fuck. He seemed upset about that. All this because you know everything with a 30. You know that the shaman is generally the leader of the people. So...
I tried. I'm still really curious about her.
Valdez had an in-depth study of pollywogs and lizard men.
He seemed like he like the description was like he said, yeah, she's there. He just kept calling her a dragon kneeler and kept saying that she was purple. Again, his communication skills and comment, even in Draconic, it's not incredible. Like, they're not an incredibly intelligent race. So even Draconic, they speak kind of a broken version of Draconic. Yeah, he just kept calling her. He confirmed that she's there, said that she was a dragon kneeler, and kept saying that she was purple.
I'm gonna ask him if he knows of any hidden entryways that would get us into the castle unnoticed.
That is a very good question.
I mean, I don't want to go in through the front gate.
Have a map.
But the front gate's so fun.
So he starts kind of describing the castle to you. And the castle itself, again, you know the castle was built by a wizard centuries ago. And it was built specifically to be very well fortified. There aren't any secret entrances into the castle itself. However, it's a relatively large castle. And as much as he complained about the bullywugs being allowed inside, as you talk to him more, you get the idea that it is a very segregated castle. You have the lizardmen who bring in the goods and basically work, are the manual labor. You have the bullywugs who their camp is, they have mud huts and things like that just outside the front of the castle where they congregate. And then the only way into the castle is through the front gate, which has a portcullis and it has an upper level that I can't remember what it's called, but there are shooty holes in it.
Murder holes.
Barbican. There we go.
Why can't they be called happy fun time holes?
Well, you have to go to a different place for
Because
those.
that's a different building.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
building. So yeah, it has a what's called a barbican, which is kind of a forward defensive structure, which will have a gate and it'll have an upper level that archers and things like that can count. And then there's actually a hallway that goes to the castle itself, which is built on a separate solid piece of land. So the castle itself, you have to go through the barricade, and the barricade, or I think that's what it's called, Barbican. There we go. The Barbican is technically separated from the rest of the castle, so getting in sneakily would require killing a bunch of bullywugs, which he doesn't seem particularly upset about, but is theoretically possible because it is far enough away from the castle, the main castle itself, that things could happen in the Barbican, and no one in the castle would know unless a warning was shouted, or like a warning was sounded.
Alrighty. I don't have anything else I want to ask him.
I'm good. Should we take him at rest now?
Sounds like a plan.
I'll stay up on first watch.
So will I.
I can take that.
Okay, so we got first and second.
And then I
I'll
can
take third.
help with third and fourth.
You
Right.
use an elf, you only meditate for 4 hours and then you're good.
The elves don't require quite as much sleep as you other races.
What you mean by other races?
You getting racist, my man?
I didn't say lesser races. I just thought
No,
it.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. You better watch yourself. Sorry, I took that to a very dark place very quickly. I am going to hell. So, your watch goes off without any issues whatsoever. It's very very quiet. Again, nothing comes from the castle itself. It seems that the wildlife itself have learned not to come near this particular area, probably because lizardmen have fought them off before. So you hear, like, you're relatively certain that, like, Enna, you see a crocodile in the water, but it never gets
I pay very close attention to it.
It never gets close enough to really do anything. I'm starting to lose Steam. No Steam. You don't download while I am streaming. Especially a game I haven't played in like a month. Sorry, I had to yell at my computer because that's what sane people do. Specifically, sane people that work in tech support.
True story.
Yes, very much so. So yeah, you guys all notice, wildlife and stuff like that. Nothing comes close enough to feeling like you need to wake up your party, and you are able to get the effects of a long rest. Hold on for a second. I need to drink. Using that bubble voice is remarkably hard.
So what's that? Only converse with Snapshot for the next 2 hours?
Yeah, sure. I sense a lot of disadvantage in your future. Again, I have no problem killing characters off. There is a giant black dragon that seems like he is ancient, just flying around. Piss off the DM, why don't you? That's exactly what you want to do with a giant, ancient black dragon.
Now, see, Valdus won't die in an epic way. He'll die by, like, tripping over a rock on top of a watery surface and just being held underwater with his feet still on top.
Yeah.
It's, like, the weirdest way possible because of my ring.
I had somebody actually ask me how to. They were fighting werewolves, and they had no silver or magic weapons. They're like, "How am I supposed to?" They're immune to all damage without. I said, "Well, they have to breathe still. You can kill a werewolf by strangling them. It's hard because they have really high athletic scores. But if you can strangle them and drown them or asphyxiate them, they will still die. They have to breathe."
Fire will probably work.
Yeah, they, any damage they are immune to slashing, bludgeoning, and piercing damage from non-magical or non-silver weapons. So if you don't have silver weapons or you don't have magical weapons and you are like a melee or a weapon-based class, you cannot hurt a werewolf. But you can suffocate them. You can strangulate them. Anyway, and there's rules about suffocation in the PHB. So, and I always thought they were weird because if you can hold your breath for a minute plus your con mod, minimum 1. So there are certain like water weirds. Like one of the things they'll do is they'll attack you and then they'll take you underwater and try to suffocate you. 4 minutes of combat, or even a minute of combat means it's 10 rounds before you fall unconscious.
Nice.
So I always thought it was weird. It's like you have these rules that are never going to be used, and then it's like, oh no, they can't be, because if you strangle someone, they can't hold their breath. They are being strangled. It's not like they go, wait a minute. Okay, now. Unless you're into that kind of stuff, and then that's totally cool. And just remember, your safe word should be 1 syllable.
That's why you learn Morse code.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was on an interview once talking about they had a friend that was into Bondism, and he goes, what the best advice they ever gave me was? He goes, what? He goes, well, he said safe words should be 1 syllable, because his partner, this person's partner, was choking him, and he kept trying to say rhododendron and couldn't get the word out. So, folks, you learn more stuff from D&D. I'm going to get banned from Twitch.
1 syllable or 1 syllable or a swift kick to the crotch. I think both sends the same message.
It depends on what you're into.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, wow. This went so dark so quick. What do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to do that has nothing to do with Bondism?
I should
So-
totally tie up. No, I'm kidding.
I am not. I don't care what your characters do off screen. I am not role playing that encounter. I'm not. There's no roles involved. You can roll by yourself.
I think we should take the rowboat to Castle Neartar.
Yeah.
Kill some bullywugs. Oh,
And exterminate some bullywugs.
yes.
Okay, so again, he does mention it's about a day's journey from where you guys are. So he mentions, prepare yourself for a decent journey. We'll be rowing the entire way. Canoes themselves, if you've never actually rowed a canoe, it's nothing like a rowboat. And depending on how much stuff you have on it, is significantly easier on your arms because you can switch them and stuff like that. And they're much lighter. So it's not going to be difficult or anything like that, but it is going to be constant motion. Even going with the current of the river, it's going to be constant motion for you, which some of you may not be 100% used to. So you may get peckish in there. Are there any preparations you guys want to make before you head to the castle itself?
I'm good.
I am going to take a few moments to change out my spells,
Okay.
realizing that I have a spell that saves me from quicksand after yesterday's experience.
What spell saves you from quicksand? I gotta know this.
Water walk.
Yes, I guess.
Oh, you need a
I can
spell
walk-
for that?
Yeah, as Valdis just walks alongside the rest of you guys. Every so often, like Valdis's legs will get like cramped, and so we get hold up, guys. You get up and you just kind of walk around your canoe for a little bit. Oh,
I can also
so much better.
I can also cast that as a ritual on up to 10 people, but not Valdis.
If you guys, if you want, how long does that last again?
1 hour.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, if you guys want, well, you still could do this. If you want, you can beach the canoes when you know that you're about an hour away, because you have a guide, so you can just ask, "Hey, Snapshot, let us know when we're roughly an hour away," and you guys can technically come in on foot, quote unquote, if you want. Again,
That'd be a weird sight, but okay. I'm waiting for it.
Visual.
Again, it's not that it's not that you guys are traveling on like a river per se. It's the swamp itself has gotten so deep here that you can't, like, walking is just not an option. It's like chest height, neck height for humans, and so it's just easier to. But you still have swamp trees and stuff like that, so it's not like you're in open water or anything like that.
Alright.
It
Ready
is up
whenever
to
you
you
are.
guys. Since Enna is specifically preparing for quicksand,
I like that idea.
I'm taking no chances.
I can only change out my cleric spells, and level 1 cleric spells aren't the most versatile, so I'm good.
well, that whole cure wounds thing tends to be pretty useful.
Guiding bolt, healing
Yeah.
word.
Pretty much have Guiding Bolt, Healing Word, Sanctuary, Shield of Faith. That's
I was
it.
about to say, Shield of Faith is the other one that people tend to like.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have Animal Friendship and Speak with Animals.
Very useful. So,
Exactly.
any of those crocodiles, you can just go, "Hey, buddy." I should get my book again because I put it down to drink. There are rules
Feels good.
against drinking and DMing.
No.
Nope.
Feels good to use a D20 because my other groups I'm playing with a D6 system.
Yeah. Some of them are really cool. I like. I think it's called the Fate Core system, the one the Dragon Age RPG is based off of.
Yeah.
3d6.
Yeah, 3d6. I like that system because I like feats or stunts. I mean, stunts. I think stunts are really cool ways to do crits. But yeah, no, it'll never replace a d20 for me. I like me some icosahedrons. So I'm gonna get my dice out so I can kill you guys.
Oh boy.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, this is the easy part of the adventure: storming the castle. That has specifically been fortified against people coming in. Totally easy. So as you guys get a little under an hour, because Snapjaw understands, you don't want to get to that point where it's like the spell is wearing off and you're still in neck-deep water. So like 45 minutes away, Snapjaw kind of turns to you guys and goes, "Okay, we're here."
Alright.
Okay. I take a few minutes.
While he's doing that, I'll just say random gibberish and draconic, and then just start walking on water.
And Snapjaw, understanding Draconic, goes, and you watch him say the exact same phrasing, and step off his canoe.
Oh no! Oh no!
And lizardmen can swim kind of well. They're not like, super amazing, but like they have really big, powerful tails and stuff like that. So he's not drowning or anything. But as he steps off and falls into the water and then like stands up and just kind of looks at Valdis incredulously, slowly climbs back into the canoe, dripping wet.
Waiting for Edda to complete the spell.
Yeah, just like staring daggers at Valdis.
So yeah, when I finish it, I choose up to 10 people, 10 willing creatures. They're imbued with water walk. Any that are underwater get shot up at a rate of 60 feet per round.
So
Breach like a whale.
because Rule of Cool, he's tall enough that his eyes are just peeking over the surface of the water, staring daggers at Valdis. And lizardmen themselves they can't breathe underwater. They can hold their breath pretty long. And if that's not true, I'm saying it is. Because I don't have the stat block in front of me. So he's just sitting there staring daggers at Valdis, and then Enna completes the ritual, and he just shoots out of the water, comes up, hits the water again like concrete, and just kind of lays there splashing around, realizes he can now stand on the water, and then just stares daggers at Emma.
It's a delayed effect.
Here. Snapjaw no like you anymore. Snapjaw only in this for his people. Snapjaw think you guys are dicks.
I'm gonna step off and start trying to.
And as you
water
step
walk.
off, and not sink, Snapjaw see. Snapjaw sit there. Snapjaw go in the water. Snapjaw go all the way in the water. Get you out of the water and hit the water, and the water is hard. You make the Snapjaw hit the water hard to hard water. The tiny one just walks out. Tiny one completely fine. Not like Snapjaw getting drowned and then thrown in the air and then slammed to the water. Tiny one is fine because you like the tiny one. You know, like Snapjaw.
Really, Snapjaw smelling good by now.
I apologize,
doesn't
Snapshot.
like
Just took a moment.
I climb up out of the boat and help Snapjaw up to his feet.
Thank you. You're very
To
nice.
be fair, I'm not a people person. I'm just an asshole.
Yeah. You think Snapjaw has realized this? Like, even with, a lower intelligence score, you're relatively certain that it doesn't take people too long to realize this.
I go
So-
up to Snapjaw and be like, very quietly, just be like, "Hey, watch this." And then I use my druid craft to make a puff of wind near Valdis's butt and have a skunk smell come out.
Wow, you silenced the DM.
We're not gonna die to a dragon. We're gonna die by pranking each other.
They're just like, what's that smell?
So as soon as you say that, go, Snapjaw knows. Snapjaw knows. Snapjaw saw. It's Stinky Man. Stinky Man who works and makes Snapjaw fall in the water. Stinky Man. Snapjaw knows the Stinky Man is made of steak. Whoo. Stinky Man, you need to see Shaman. Get him to fix you. Something wrong. Something's dying. Mr. Stinky Man. Something dying in there, Mr. Stinky Man.
Must have been that lizard man I ate earlier.
You see his face just drop. The lizard man? Lizard man? You're nasty. Mr.
I whispered,
Stinky Man.
I whispered to him. I whispered to him, saying he really didn't eat anybody.
He's mean. He whispers back to you much louder than you think. He doesn't really seem to get the idea of whispering. He's mean.
Yeah, he is.
We should get moving.
Yeah.
Does he have to live through this? I mean, are you really attached to him? I mean,
Would be bad.
Flame Lady, she cuts herself, turns her sword on fire. I mean, Sneaky Man just makes a lot of like bad smells. I'm thinking, I mean, he's basically a red shirt.
Oh my god! This really the Star Trek reference.
Is that a lizard man like story? The red shirt.
Yes. There's lizard men stories about these brave adventurers that came down in gold, blue, and red tunics. And the ones in red tunics were the ones that the lizard men generally were able to kill easiest. They called them the red shirts. The one in the gold never shut up. Just always talking. Had great hair, which is annoying to lizard men because lizard men don't have hair. And kept trying to sleep with all these green women. You don't know where the green women came from. Lizard men assumed they were cursed by somebody. But, you know.
We should get moving.
I love how this is what this game has become.
I'll still dying.
All right. So again, it takes you guys roughly about 30 minutes to get within like viewing distance from where you were when you first cast the water walking. You could see Castle Nirtar. It stands above the mare pretty prominently in this area. So you guys have been able to see the castle itself for an hour or two. It's in massive disrepair. If you guys didn't have confirmation that someone was there, you would have assumed that it was still unoccupied, as it has been for, like I said, Valdis, according to your knowledge, the last time anyone occupied Castle Nirtar was a bunch of astrologers about a century ago. And they didn't leave, they just disappeared, and no one ever heard from them again. So yeah, You just from looking at it, you would think that there's nobody living here. As you guys get closer, you can see some more specifics. So, where are you? Roll me perception checks.
Okay.
21.
Okay.
15.
13.
Okay.
17.
Okay.
14.
All right. So, Ollie, with your 21, you can see pretty clearly. You can see the castle itself, but there's a fair amount of other stuff around it. You can see, you guys can actually approach technically from any angle because of your water walk ability instead of like the lizard and everything where they have to really go to the landing. So you can see there's an area that Snapshot just calls the landing, and you see a bunch of dugout canoes there, just lying beached. You assume that's where they go for everything. To the south, is this one of those ones where down isn't south? Give me a compass. North is that way. We're going to call it south because it makes it easier on me.
Okay.
Despite the fact that north
Okay.
is to the west on this, or to the east on this map.
Huh.
Because why would you ever align a map with a normal compass? That's just stupid. So to the south of it, you can see these pens. It looks like where they have kind of like palisade, almost walls, and a big gate, and inside them you see giant lizards. With some of them have harnesses on, some of them don't, but it definitely looks like they are domesticated.
Are these similar to the ones we saw in the cave? The ones that were in that cell below us?
I think so. They're giant lizards, so yeah, they would have been. It depends. There's two different things you might be referring to. There's a creature called a guard dragon, which is an actual subtype of dragon, and then there are what are called giant lizards. These are giant lizards. Think like Gila monster.
Yeah, it might have been guard drakes that we saw in the cages. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know we fought some shortly after.
So yeah,
Yeah.
guard drakes are different. These are giant lizards, but there's something that are relatively well known throughout the world. Whereas guard drakes are technically they're a selectively bred creation that the Cult of the Dragon has been using, so they are new. You wouldn't have seen them before. Giant lizards, you if you haven't seen one before, you've heard of them. In the in the same way that I live in Wisconsin, but I still know what a desert is.
Gotcha.
And can pronounce Gila monster the correct way. Not Gila monster. Please
That one.
stop that. Sorry, I was born in Arizona, so I moved from Arizona, where Gila monsters were a thing you had to deal with, to Wisconsin, where someone asked me what a Gila monster was, or if I'd ever met a Navajo.
Did you ever have some of them chicken vaginas?
Come over here, have some tacos and vaginas. Come on, guys, we have all this great tacos and vaginas. Yeah. So after looking at that, you can see behind, slightly east of the pens, are longhouses. The longhouses are made from reeds bound into long, thick bundles and bent into upside-down U-shaped ribs. The spaces between the ribs are latticed and thatched with more reeds. Each longhouse has a single woven door in the center of one end of the wall. The construction technique used in the longhouses is ingenious. So you see longhouses there, and then you see to the north of the landing is a dozen or more huts are placed haphazardly on the boggy ground. Each is shaped like a slightly flattened dome. The doorways are open, but a low, short tunnel forces a creature to crawl into the hut. They are made of reeds woven through a lattice with a generous layer of mud, grass, and dung smeared over the whole thing. Mud, swamp water, and muck slops between the huts and even flows in and out of the low, open doorways. So kind of like shit igloos. And there is, like I said, over a dozen of these huts in this more boggy area. The longhouses are in a higher area that's actually dry. The huts themselves are in a more boggy area where there's water and stuff and things. And then you do notice that there is a moat around the castle. And then I don't see a 6. It says there should be a 6 on here, but there isn't. Why would you actually put a number 6 when you didn't mean it? Whatever. And then there's the main gate. You do notice that the main gate is basically these two huge wooden doors that at one point you think closed. They would open outward and then would close, and then they could be barred, and would be a very good defense against attackers and things like that. Unfortunately, you guys, as you can see right now, the doors themselves are hanging off of their hinges at odd angles. They're still very, very large, but they would prove useless in keeping anyone out anymore. They probably don't even close anymore because of just how old and rotten they are.
So I'll point all that stuff out to the group and say that we should probably head towards. We said it was the west side that was or the south side that had the pens.
Yeah, to the south is the pens and the longhouses. To the north is the huts, and then in between those is the landing. And going directly from the landing, there's a pathway that leads up to the castle itself. So in order,
Okay.
the longhouses and the giant lizard pen, you actually have to go back through the landing and east up to the castle, because there is only one way to enter the castle.
I'll ask. What was it? Snapjaw?
Yes, Snapjaw.
I'll ask him. What stays in the longhouses and what stays in the huts?
There's lizard men. Those of us that stay outside the castle, that's where we stay. We build longhouses, good longhouses. See how?
And he sits there and he starts describing the longhouses themselves. And like I said before, they're ingeniously built. They're very, very well built. And he seems very, very proud of the longhouses, especially compared to the shit igloos on the other side. So that's where the lizard men are.
Okay. So,
Do the bullywugs stay in the shit igloos?
Are you asking?
I'm asking him that.
Okay. he mentions that the bullywugs and their frog pets live in the muck houses, is what he calls them.
Okay.
You guys do see the longhouses themselves are huge. It's big enough that probably each one of them could easily hold like 100 lizard men in it.
Oh,
So they're based on the fact that there's a grand total of 3 longhouses. There could be a relatively large presence of lizardmen here.
so I was thinking if we can get
Oh,
on
sorry,
those long
each of these
houses.
longhouses could house 25 lizard folk comfortably, with some crowding. So 25. Sorry, not 100. 25.
Oh, well, that makes a big difference.
But still, that's still with 3 of them there, if I'm counting correctly. I can't guarantee I'm doing that anymore. With 3 of them there, you're talking about 75 lizard men just living outside, and that, according to Snapchat, that's where the warriors live, who help defend the castle. There are lizard men that live inside the castle as well.
Well, we need to get the word to them to let them know that we are their friends.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when we get to those houses and let
Do we
Snapchat
want,
word out.
do we want to go in to outside and wait some of them up or whatever?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather not fight all these bullywugs without their help.
Agreed.
Yeah.
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 I want to ask Snapjaw, does he know how many bullywugs there are around the castle or in the castle as well?
More than 6.
Good question.
Because if we can get the warrior lizardmen outside to
Why would you?
stealthily kill the bullywugs.
Why would you actually tell me? Yeah, no, it doesn't actually tell me a damn thing about how many there are here. So, Snapchat mentions that because it's getting nightfall, the bullywugs inhabit the castle themselves and they guard the castle. So there's a fairly large amount of them, like dozens of them. Because again, they're all throughout the castle. And then at night they all go to these mud huts, and that's where they sleep. Since it's getting later-ish, the bullywugs currently are still in the castle,
Okay.
in their various positions, guard positions, things like that. There are a few bullywugs, because obviously they have shifts and things like that. There are a few bullywugs that are going to be in the huts themselves. But a majority of the forces are going to be in the castle somewhere. And he also mentions that the bullywugs have these pet frogs that are nasty, that they don't like and tend to like to eat large creatures whole. Which I think you guys have encountered giant frogs before, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you recognize the description of a giant frog. And he says that there's probably at least half a dozen of these giant frogs in the in and around the huts, but because they grew up there from tadpoles, until they move, you can't actually tell them apart from the muck and grime around there. So you wouldn't be able to see them until it's too late, unless you are really really good.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
So
you
what do you
guys
wanna
do the
do?
talking. But my idea
Well.
is we get those lizard folk warriors with the help of Snapjaw here to help us fight these bullywogs.
Okay.
Wait until after they've come out of the castle. Start a riot.
He mentions that there are 6 guards that guard the landing, lizard folk guards. That if you want, he can go talk to them, try and convince them to help out.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we.
Okay, so you guys chill as he walks on the water over there, not realizing how bizarre that was going to look to his fellow guys. And you hear, Valdis, you're the only one that can understand this. You hear him kind of gather the guards over and go, he basically is like, try and act normal. And the guards are like, we are. What's wrong with you? And you just walked on water. Maybe we need to have a conversation. And he basically makes the pitch that I've found some powerful friends, and they can help us take back our land from the bullywugs and from the dragon kneelers. And they don't seem that impressed.
Even with the walking on water?
They sit there and go, where are these allies of yours? And Snapjaw kind of turns back and kind of motions for you guys to come forward. You guys are all kind of hidden far enough back that they can't see you. So what do you want to do?
I'll move up to I was
I say I'm on great terms with this guy, so I'm not moving up.
Okay.
I'll move up. Why not?
I'll
Alright.
move up behind
Yeah,
also.
I'll head up as well.
And so as
I'll
you
head up
guys,
at the very back.
so as you guys all come up, you see like the head of the guards here go. 5 to take a castle? Snapjaw, you idiot. You've been fooled again by clever...
wait. You don't know what we're about. You're not the one.
So again, as they're sitting there and berating Snapjaw, and Snapjaw's going, no, fire lady, she cuts herself, and then fire. And they're going, you dipshit. Like this is a freaking parlor trick, and then Lilianne just kind of comes over, is like, slits her thumb again. The blood starts to run down. It runs against gravity, and they're like, holy shit, that's kind of weird. Then it erupts into fire. They're like, ah.
That what you stupid?
And so they kind of turn to you and they go, obviously you are powerful, but the dragon kneelers and the bullywugs, they are very powerful. They have allies. The great dragon. We cannot risk our men, our families, over 5. We will not stop you. And he gives you a bone talisman. He goes, if you show this to the men inside, the lizard men inside, they will not attack you. But we cannot commit our men to something so folly. Despite Snapjaw's, I think that's his name. Is that what I've been calling him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Drugs are bad, okay? Despite Snapjaw's trust, you are fighting powerful forces, and we have seen others try and fail. Our shaman was one of them, and he now is with the honored dead. If you free us, we will be eternally grateful, but we will not help you in what seems to be a fool's errand.
Fools we may be, but we are powerful fools.
And slightly masochistic.
Well,
It's a big word for a lizard man.
Yeah.
You're kind of impressed. You're starting to think that Snapjaw was not representative of the whole of lizard society.
We're learning.
They still, even in Draconic, they still speak it broken, because again, they're not an incredibly intelligent race just in general. But yeah, apparently Snapjaw, not even average. But you've basically gotten assurances that the lizard folk that inhabit the castle and the longhouse and things like that, they're not going to stop you. Nor are they going to unleash their giant lizards on you. Which giant lizards, again, not a whole lot of fun to deal with. So, I mean, you've effectively there are 3 forces in this castle. There are the Bullywugs, there's Cult of the Dragon, there's a Lizardmen. One of those forces has just given up. You no longer have to worry about them. Would have been nice to have some extra help, but apparently Snapjaw's not all that convincing. Or the DM rolled a 6. One or the other.
Are we going to go to the Bullywug area, or are we going to try and sneak in the front door?
I think we should back up a little bit so we can discuss a plan.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
Well, where you guys are right now, you really can only be seen by the Lizardmen. So you guys are safe, unless you don't want the Lizardmen hearing your plan.
Go.
And it would be again, just they understand Common, and they speak Draconic. So if you wanted to have conversations, as long as you didn't use either of those 2 languages, you could do it.
Altier, do you speak Elvish?
Halfling and Orcish.
So I'll do the whole dual language thing again, but I'll
Okay.
pretty much say in Elvish and Halfling that what if we somehow make it look like the Bullywugs are going to attack the Lizardmen, and just so there's an all-out war, then we don't have to worry about either of those factions. They're just focusing on each other.
They're going
know.
to.
If they were to,
If we could do something like that, I don't know whether the best fighting on our side. Otherwise, they just so that they make it right out right. They go to see.
In
Maybe
Africa,
we maybe we can be more convincing than that.
I'll leave
In
it to you.
in halfling, I say, how would you even pull that off?
Well, in halfling, I'll respond. I could make myself look like a lizard man and just burn one of the huts of the bullywog and then run.
With
I
your
like the idea.
knowledge, with your knowledge of like basic alchemy, those huts won't burn.
Well, I do have help from me. Yeah.
Like the huts themselves are non-flammable, despite the fact they have reeds in them. They are covered in wet mud and dung, and are partially submerged in water. Like the most they might do is smoke, and it would require a pretty decent amount of fire to get to the point where you could light them enough to make them smoke. Kind of like
I'll
wet
just-
leaves. Like they don't actually
Yeah.
burn; they just smoke.
I'll just befriend an ancient red dragon really quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait,
Or
what if
boulder.
What if-
You give me an idea that maybe what if you do you know where a polymorph looks like? Because you could save yourself in the way in a spot where the invisible and they were fireball.
You
So I
guys,
see there's a second person in this group that wants me dead.
yeah. You guys do also have 7 lizardmen there. That if you want to ask questions about like
Yeah.
where are people entrenched and things like that. Like Snapjaw was a go-to guy. He didn't know a ton about the inside, but these guys are guards. They live here, so they are a source of information as well.
I do want to walk up to that main guard we talked to.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pull out my holy symbol, and I want to ask, do you know what the symbol is? Do you know who this represents?
One of your gods. We have never had need for them. We are lizardmen. We are powerful. Our control through our shamans, we control powerful magics. We have no need of your gods.
That may be true, but mine does not represent power. Mine represents peace.
Even
aren't you
more
tired?
foolish.
Aren't you tired of being under the thumb of a dragon? Don't you want your people to have a semblance of peace?
We do not want peace. We want our land. We're powerful. We will take our land back. Before the dragon kneelers came, we ruled this land through our power. Not through peace, not through gods, through our own power. We tame the beasts. We learn the pathways through the swamp. We raised our family, taught our children to wield powerful weapons.
That is exactly what we are asking you to do. You want to take your way back and get in your chance. If you want, I understand the desire to protect your families. Maybe you don't devote your whole force, but if some of you would help us, it would greatly increase our odds with you so that
So
movie.
what you say is you cannot fight the dragon kneelers.
You
Why
did
would
not
we
say that.
join with someone so weak?
And we have
We had
possibility.
someone who said, fight the dragon kneelers, fight the bullywugs. He was our shaman. He is now among the honored dead. The dragon kneelers give us weapons of steel, and he draws a steel longsword, which is well beyond their technology level as far as something that they could forge. Because they give us weapons of steel, give us more power. You give us promises and speech of peace, not power. Snapjaw, you have convinced. Snapjaw is weak. That is why Snapjaw collects the shinies for the dragon kneelers. We are not weak, we are warriors.
I-
You warrior, be a warrior. Fight for your
Go ahead and roll me a. I'll let you choose charisma or intimidation.
warrior.
Where is the use of having power if you cannot use it when you're at the bottom of the food chain?
Nine.
With that, I need everyone to roll for initiative.
Oh
This
boy.
is why you don't. Yeah. We could have just snuck in. We're decent at it.
It's okay. We've killed several lizardmen before. We'll just die to them.
Never roll well.
Yeah, this won't go poorly whatsoever.
Now we're gonna have to fight our way in because people tried to convince people. We're traditionally better at just like not
Well,
doing that.
Hey,
Also
Well,
forget that half
it
the
wasn't
party.
so much
By
convincing.
the way, can any of you hear Anna?
Yeah.
can you hear me?
I can
I hear him,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh dear, can I hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Okay, we just ignore him.
You also, Altier, you fail to see that there's three of us aren't stealthy. One's in heavy armor. Unless it's intelligence based, I'm not doing anything.
In what you get is before you can even react, one of them, the one that had pulled the weapon, swings. Ow! Come on. I need to know what their stats are. Swings at Lillian. You've basically insulted their honor, and so they've decided to attack. You notice that Snapjaw has kind of backed off a little bit when he saw the sword come out. All right. So this is actually going to be a 1d8. Okay. So he gets advantage on this because you are surprised and not expecting the attack. Which doesn't matter. He gets a nat 20. Four, 5. This 2 is 7 bludgeoning damage, and then attempts to bash you with his shield. I've got a 22.
22 damage.
22 to hit. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Does that hit you, Lillian? Yeah. It
Yeah.
has 400 damage. No. So you took 7 damage from the sword, and then you take 6 plus. Wow, the non-crit does more damage. It's really kind of sad, to be honest. You take 8 piercing damage from the shield, and they get ready to fight. And I should roll initiative for them. Now I'm not rolling nat 20s. And Snapjaw, you have no idea where Snapjaw went. Altia,
Okay. 25.
Enna,
4.
Valdis,
19.
Ollie,
18.
Lilianne.
17.
All right, so Valdis, you are up first. You see this guy just get really, really angry and take a
Well,
swipe.
this is up first?
Is
Oh,
any
I'm
of
sorry. Altier is up first.
Yeah.
There's some odd reason because right above you is the challenge rating marker, and it's 30, and then I saw 25, and I thought it was part of the challenge rating.
Okay.
So Altier is up first. You see the lizardman get really, really upset with Lilianne, and then finally his anger overflows. He slices him with his longsword, and then bashes him with his shield. And you see both connect with Lilianne before she's even really aware that was about to happen. So you're up first. What do you want to do?
The short sword is drawn and it's plunging into a lizard man, the one that attacked her.
Okay.
That's a 23 to hit.
Miss. They have magical. They're immune to short swords. No, that's definitely a hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
With sneak attack, that is 10 damage.
All right. So you quickly close the distance between you and Leanne because she'd stepped about 10 feet forward because you guys were further back trying to whisper your plans. So she stepped about 10 feet forward to try and converse. And so you cover the distance immediately, plunge your short sword into the lizard man, and he. You get past his shield and cut him pretty deep, but he still seems raring for a fight. What else do you want to do?
He's gonna eat a swift kick to the ribs,
All right.
hopefully. Yeah, 27 to hit.
Another hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Good old 6.
All right. So as you sit there, as you plunge it in, he goes, ah, and he starts to bring his sword down to try, because your short sword is kind of stuck into him at this moment. You use the short sword for leverage and kind of flip around and kick him straight in the ribs and pull it out. And as you do that, you see him cough up blood as the wound itself starts oozing blood down his side. He holds his shield arm to the wound to try and get it to stop bleeding, but he looks pretty rough.
That's my turn.
All right. Now it's Valdis.
I will, for my bonus action, throw a healing word at Lilianne for 7. Hey, there you go.
So Valdis
And then-
starts by speaking again in arcane language, and the language itself starts to form itself. And as you hear the words, Lilianne, your wounds start to close upon themselves.
And then I'll just firebolt the one that attacked Lilianne.
Okay.
20 to hit.
Definitely a hit. Roll damage.
I can do math. 9 plus 7, 16.
So as you sit there concentrating, what's your focus again?
Wand.
So you sit there and you point your wand, and this bolt of fire comes out. The creature's holding its side. It looks up. The bolt of fire hits it straight in the chest, launches it off its feet, and it hits the ground unmoving. The remaining 5 lizard men ready their weapons for attacks, realizing that you may be stronger than they initially thought. Anything else you want to do with your turn?
No, I'm good.
Ollie, you're up.
I'll just cast a Sacred Flame at whichever one is nearest.
That is a dex save.
Yes.
What's the save?
15.
He gets a 19. So as you sit there and you call down the divine power of your deity, this shaft of light forms. The lizardman sees and kind of steps out of the way. And as it hits the ground, he goes, "Puny god."
Back to this again, huh?
Yeah. You're the one that talked about how powerful your god was.
I never said anything about how powerful they were.
All right, let me rephrase that. You're the one that had to start showing off, "Ooh, I've got a god, look at me."
Hey, even as interpreted that way. It's not-
Anything else you want to do with your turn?
Is it just? Never mind.
As of right now, you guys are basically on kind of a side part of the landing, kind of hidden off from the rest of everything. So obviously the sound of battle will carry pretty far. Metal on metal and things like that, and explosions and stuff. You guys are probably going to alert. But as of right now, the only people you can see are these what used to be 6 lizard men. You don't hear any reinforcements coming or anything like that. So.
Can I look around and see if I saw where Snapjaw went?
Make me a perception check.
He's trying to burrow in the water because he's walking on it.
20, not natural though.
He retreated back to where you guys were hiding before. It looks like there's no tracks to follow because he's walking on water. But based on how quickly he just kind of vanished and your knowledge of him, you think that's really the only place he could have gotten to fast enough.
Okay.
But you don't actually know where he is. You didn't see him go. And
Alright.
there's no tracks to follow, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's it.
Liliane.
There are 5 of them.
Yeah, there's 5 left. Technically, I believe you already have your Crimson Right activated.
Yeah.
So.
We came here to help you free yourself. We only attack because we were attacked. If we start now, we can still help you regain your freedom. If we keep fighting the bully war and the triggers will come, and I will be back for both of us. And I am ready, but I am for anyone that is hostile to me.
Roll persuasion check.
19.
They look at you and go, "You killed our leader," and continue moving forward, looking like they're ready to kill you. You get the idea that their mind's been made up.
So then I wanna move first toward me.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack rolls.
22.
Definitely a hit.
So that would be 13 damage.
So as you sit there and swing with your flaming blade, it cuts the closest one very deep. He tries to block it with his shield, but you get right under, cuts it very deep, and despite cauterizing some of the wound, you can still see blood leaking out of it as he cries out in pain. I believe you have another attack if you'd like to use it.
Oh my God.
Go for it.
21.
Remarkably enough, another clean attack.
And that would be 11.
And with a second, oh really? With a second swing, after cutting him across his, there we go. After cutting him across his stomach, he kind of bends over. You bring the braid around, you bring the, you cut his head off because I can't talk. So that's 2 down. Anything else you want to do with your turn?
No.
All right. That was Lillian. Ha! They get to finally do something. There's 4 left. 2 and 2. 2 on Altier, 2 on Lillian, because Valdis is far enough away that they're like, fuck that shit. Altier, first one is 15.
Miss.
Second one is nat 20.
It's oddly no, but yeah, it's
Oddly enough, so he bites you for 8, 9, 10 piercing damage. Lillian, 23. And then another 23. So you take a total of 10 piercing, 5 slashing, 5 piercing damage as one slashes you with a long sword, and the other one kind of bashes you with his, and then he bashes you with his spiked shield. And they each get 2 attacks. There's 2 more attacks against you, Altier. 22.
yeah, it.
And 11.
Miss.
5 piercing damage as a second one bashes you with his shield. Lillian, 17. And 16.
Yeah.
All right, so you 10 more damage from sword slash bash. That ends their turn. Brings us back up to Altier. I'm sorry,
don't
Anna.
I get a turn?
No, you don't.
Thank you.
You rolled a 4.
Oh.
You don't go until like 3 turns later. They rolled an 8, so that's significantly better than you.
Yes,
Anna,
it
you're
was.
up. Do something.
So
cool.
the creatures they were describing sounded like the giant toads that we fought earlier, correct? The creatures that the bull pollywogs.
Yeah, their pet frogs sound like giant toads.
Excellent. So I'm just gonna stand back and go. I feel a little offended right now. Concentrate, turn into a giant toad, and then go and bite the nearest one.
Okay. I hope you have the stat block. You have the stat block for giant toad, I'm assuming.
I do.
Okay. I believe technically they were describing giant frogs, not giant toads. But I think the difference being, I think giant frogs are medium and giant toads are large.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, it's like challenge rating 1 versus challenge rating half.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
What'd you get?
I rolled a 1 plus 4.
So you sit there and you turn into this giant toad, and the lizardmen like, we have been betrayed. They work for the bullywugs. And then you come forward and try to bite, and he just bats you away. And he goes, you think we don't know how to kill your kind, even a very large one? Do you get multi-attack as a giant toad or no?
I do not get multi-attack as a giant toad.
However, you are very giant and toad-like.
Yes!
Did you try and bite one by me or one by Lillian?
I'm going to stay 1 by Altier.
Okay.
You're technically all within 5 feet of each other because Altier came up and attacked the dude that
Attack
attacked
Anna.
Lillian. So,
Lillian, yeah.
now it's Altier's turn.
The one that Anna just rolled up on, I'm gonna try and stab him.
Go for it.
23 to hit.
Definitely a hit roll damage.
Not great. 8.
It would get sneak attack because you got a buddy.
I rolled a 2 and a 1.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm gonna
Okay.
flurry of blows him.
Okay.
That's a 25 to hit.
Definitely a hit. Roll damage.
9
Okay.
and a 19 to hit.
Definitely a hit. Roll damage.
8.
All right. So you guys watch as Altier comes up to the guy that just basically snapped Enna on the snout. And the first thing you do is you take your short sword, plunge it into him. He cries out in pain. You pull it out, as you pull it out, using the force to come around with a roundhouse kick that snaps the guy's neck in one direction. And as he's shaking his head, you come back around with an axe kick that lands right on the top of his head, and you hear this sickening crunching sound as a number of his vertebrae snap under the weight of your axe kick, and he falls to the ground, a lifeless doll. Anything else you want to do with your turn?
I'm good.
All right, Valdis.
How many could I get in a 15-foot cone?
With some positioning and the fact that you can walk on water, all of them.
Okay, I want to do that, and I'll cast Burning Hands at 3rd level, but I'll change it to lightning damage because I don't want to catch anything on fire.
Okay. What's your spell save DC?
It is 15.
He's going Sith on us again.
One success. 2 failures. 1 success, 2 failures.
Damn, that's...
So one kind of gets his shield up. You see the lightning kind of dance over his shield, but nothing else. As the rest of them, as you come over and just start shooting these bolts of lightning out, just get hit full force with it.
24 points of lightning damage.
2 of them drop. One of them, the one that brings his shield up, you can see these burn and scorch marks all over him where the lightning, hit. And he basically, because the ground itself, while solid, is not dry, he basically grounded himself, and the lightning went straight through him into the conductive ground. And so he has all these burn marks from where the lightning basically shot through him. But he's still standing. The other 2 just drop dead.
Unless one of you guys need a heal, I'm good.
Ollie, you got 1 left. He looks kind of rough.
How close am I to him?
Let's say you're 15 feet away.
Okay. Close enough or far enough away where I can shoot him with the crossbow?
Sure.
Alright, I'm going to shoot him with the crossbow. 20.
20 definitely hits. Roll damage.
68. That's 8.
You said 8?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys watch as Valdis kind of puts his holy symbol away, takes out his light or heavy crossbow.
It's a light.
Okay. So he takes out a smaller crossbow, holds it in 2 hands, and pops a bolt onto it, fires it, gets the guy straight in the shoulder, and you can see the blood is just seeping out. He's barely holding on, but he's still upright. Anything else you want to do with your turn?
There's nothing else I can do with this bonus action, so that's it.
All right, Lillian. 1 dude left. He's bleeding pretty heavy.
We're going to attack him.
Go for it.
Nineteen
Definitely a hit.
for 14 damage.
How do you want to do this?
I never do that.
Okay. So you watch as the bolt hits him. You sit there walking very, excuse me, walking very calmly, twirling your sword towards this creature. The creature brings up his long sword to try and get you, and you just bat it out of the way, and it flies across into the muck around. He brings his shield up to block you, stop you from getting any closer, and you just smack it out of the way again. You see it on his arm hangs limp, and the shield just kind of slides off of it. You get right up close to him, look him straight in the eye, and plunge your burning sword right through his chest. You watch his eyes go real big, and then he slumps down, and the entire weight of the creature is now held aloft on your flaming sword as you just push him off, and he hits the ground with this big smoldering wound in the middle of his chest. And unfortunately for tonight, that is where I'm going to end it because my medication is not working. But we're actually getting pretty close to the end of this particular journey. I'm making some slight modifications so that these guys can have a kind of an ending to this without having to go through the entire Tyranny of Dragons campaign, because that will take forever. So please tune in. I do run D&D games here every Tuesday. It's twitch.tv/TrainerJody. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at TrainerJody there. Otherwise, this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, I am. We've been working on this for months. I am the DM of a brand new RPG show on Zelda Universe's Twitch channel called Realms of the Wild. Our first episode is this Saturday, so if you guys want to tune in there, it's twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV, and it's going to be amazing. We've got amazing players. We've been releasing character trailers that have been getting a lot of people really excited for it. It should be a lot of fun. It uses Open Legend, which is a newer RPG system that Matt Mercer and Ed Greenwood helped consult on to make this really cool, interesting system. So anyway, other than that, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.